In the far corner of the galaxy, near the edge of known space, a lonely patrol ship floated silently. Inside, human officer Raylan adjusted his headset, staring at the blinking screen. He had been scanning quiet space lanes for hours, but then something strange appeared. "Threx, are you seeing this?" Raylan asked, turning to his partner, Threx. A tall alien with dark green skin and 4 eyes leaned forward. "Yes, I see it," Threx replied. Unmarked ship, no ID, no communication. The ship was drifting slowly like a ghost. There were number signals, no beacons, and no response. But the sensors showed something disturbing, weak life signs. Raylan tapped the console, frowning. "It's not a cargo vessel, not a warship either," he said. "But it's big." Threx nodded. "And it's not registered on any chart." Curiosity turned into concern. In this part of space, smugglers often used fake ships, but something felt different about this one. "Let's board it," Raylan said, standing up. "Carefully," Threx added. "This might be a trap." They docked slowly, weapons ready. The ship's doors opened with a hiss, and a cold wind blew out. Inside it was dark, silent, and smelled of burnt circuits and something worse. Fear. The corridors were narrow and empty. Dust floated in the air, and strange symbols glowed faintly on the walls. It felt abandoned. But the life signs were still there. They reached the cargo bay. Rows of metal containers were stacked like a maze. Each had a digital lock blinking red. Raylan checked one of the containers. "It's sealed from the outside," he said. "Not standard cargo." Threx placed his hand on the lock, using his tech to override it. With a soft click, the door opened. What they saw inside made both officers freeze. A small alien child, no older than 6, sat on the floor. She had pale skin, large eyes, and held a glowing cube tightly. Her eyes met theirs. But she said nothing. "She's terrified," Raylan whispered. Threx scanned her quickly. "She's healthy, but scared, badly." Raylan knelt, slowly, and spoke gently. "It's okay. We're here to help." The child didn't respond, just hugged the cube closer. Threx opened another container. Another child. A different species, this one unconscious. Then another, and another. 7 children, all from different alien races. None had any ID. None could explain what had happened. Some were sleeping. Others looked like they hadn't eaten in days. "This isn't smuggling," Raylan said, his voice low. "This is something worse. Child trafficking." Threx agreed. "Across systems." Suddenly, a voice echoed through the ship, cold and robotic. "Unauthorized access detected. Lockdown sequence activated." The lights turned red, and doors slammed shut behind them. Raylan and Threx looked around as alarms began to blare. "We're locked in," Threx said, trying to override the system. The children started crying. The glowing cube in the girl's hands began pulsing. "What is that thing?" Raylan asked. "I don't know," Threx replied. "But it's reacting to the ship." A countdown began. 5 minutes. The ship was preparing to jump, possibly into deep space. Possibly into a trap. Raylan pulled out his cum device. "No signal," he said. "They're jamming us. We have to get out before the jump," Threx said. Typing fast on the panel, one of the children, the oldest-looking boy, pointed at a side panel. He said a word they didn't understand. But Raylan looked and saw a manual release lever. Hidden under a loose panel, he pulled it, and one of the doors creaked open slightly. "There's a way," he said. "We carry them and run." "No time to be gentle," Threx agreed, lifting 2 kids carefully. Raylan took the girl with the cube, who finally spoke. "They wanted to hide us," she whispered. "Not sell us." Raylan paused, shocked. "Hide you? From what?" he asked, but she said nothing more, just held on tighter. They ran through the corridor as the countdown hit 1 minute. Every door opened manually, and they reached the dock. Raylan hit the emergency override. The patrol ship pulled them out. Seconds before the alien ship vanished back on board, the kids were safe, for now. But questions remained. Who had taken these children? Why were they hidden? And what was the glowing cube? Raylan looked at Threx. "This isn't just a smuggling ring," he said. "No," Threx replied. "It's a cover-up. Asterisk. The patrol ship flew quietly through deep space. Inside, everything was calm, but tension filled the air like a storm waiting to break." Raylan stood near the window, watching the stars pass by. Behind him, soft cries and whispers echoed in the med bay. 7 alien children sat together, wrapped in thermal blankets, eyes wide with fear. Threx checked their vitals, speaking softly in different alien languages. He was trained for diplomacy and medicine, but this felt different. These kids weren't just lost. They were broken. They still won't speak. Threx said, looking at the scanner. "All except one," Raylan replied, glancing at the puff girl. She sat apart from the others, clutching her glowing cube like it was part of her body. Raylan walked over slowly and sat down across from her. "My name is Raylan," he said gently. "Do you have a name?" She looked at him, then nodded. "Aya," she whispered. "Yeah," he repeated, smiling slightly. "That's a beautiful name." The cube in her hands pulsed softly, glowing in rhythm with her breathing. Raylan looked at it, curious. "What is that?" he asked, pointing. Aya looked down at it, then back at him, her voice low. "It's a memory," she said. "It helps me remember home." Raylan blinked. "A memory? Like a recording?" She nodded. "But it's more. It's alive." Threx came closer, overhearing the conversation. "Alive?" he asked. "What do you mean?" Aya didn't answer. Instead, she placed the cube on the table. The cube shimmered, then opened, not like a machine, but like a flower blooming. A light filled the room, and an image appeared in the air. A city, floating above clouds, towers of crystal, and alien creatures laughing and playing. "That's my home," Aya said softly. "Before they came." Raylan leaned closer. "Who came?" She looked down. The Shadow Fleet. The image changed. Black ships appeared in the sky. The laughter stopped. Screams filled the air. A large ship hovered above the city, and then everything went dark. The cube closed, and the light vanished. Silence returned, heavy and cold. Threx took a step back, his face serious. "Raylan, I've heard stories," he said. "But I thought they were myths." "What kind of stories?" Raylan asked. "An ancient fleet," Threx replied. "Not part of any known empire. Not even in the Galactic archives. They steal children with rare gifts." Raylan stared at Aya, who now looked very small and very scared. "Gifts?" he asked. "What kind of gifts?" Aya held the cube tightly again. "I can see memories," she said. "Even those that are locked or lost." Raylan stood, pacing slowly. "So the children weren't just taken," he said. "They were chosen." Threx nodded. "For something bigger. But why hide them?" Raylan asked. "Why put them in a ship with a self-locking trap?" Aya looked up again, her voice shaking. "Because someone tried to save us," she whispered. "One of them broke the rules. They put us on that ship and sent us away." Raylan's eyes narrowed. "You're saying one of the kidnappers turned against their own?" Aya nodded. "They were like a ghost. They came at night and said we had to hide. They said, 'Find the humans. They'll protect you.'" Raylan and Threx exchanged a look. "That's not a random message," Raylan said. "That's a mission." Before they could speak more, a sharp alarm echoed through the ship. "Long-range signal detected," the AI voice said. "Incoming vessel in pursuit." Raylan ran to the console, checking the screen. A dark, triangular ship was approaching. Fast, silent, and unregistered. "No comms, no ID. No transponder," Threx said. "Just like Aya said." Raylan turned to Threx, his voice calm, but urgent. "We need to hide the kids now." Threx opened a hidden compartment near the engine room, an old escape pod bay. "Put them here. It's shielded from scans," he said. Raylan guided the children one by one. Aya went last, still holding her cube. As the door closed, she whispered through the crack, "Don't let them take me back." Raylan nodded. "I promise." The dark ship loomed closer, weapons charged, and then it stopped. No message, no attack. It simply hovered, watching. Raylan stared at it through the window. "What are you waiting for?" he muttered. The cube in the hidden room pulsed again, as if answering him. The black ship still floated outside the patrol vessel. It didn't move, didn't speak, didn't fire. It was like a predator in the dark, watching its prey before deciding when to strike. Inside, Raylan stood tense, hands on the console. Threx checked the scanners again. No energy spikes, no weapons charged, but it's definitely scanning us. Raylan didn't like it. Silent enemies were the most dangerous. He looked at the hidden compartment where the children were hiding. Yejia's cube had stopped glowing, but not for long. Suddenly, the patrol ship systems flickered. Lights dimmed for a second, then returned. "Did you see that?" Raylan asked. "Yes," Threx replied. "We're being probed." Then something new appeared on the screen. A message, not in any known language. Just strange symbols, slowly moving across the monitor. "What is that?" Raylan asked. Threx tilted his head, confused. "It's not code, it's musical." Raylan blinked. "What?" "It's not words," Threx said. "It's a pattern like a sound wave." They activated the audio feed. A soft, eerie tone played through the speakers. It wasn't noise. It was like someone whispering across space. Then, from the back of the ship, Aya's cube lit up again. Not just a glow this time. It started to sing. The same tone, the same rhythm. Matching the sound from the black ship, Raylan ran to the compartment and opened the door. The children stared at the cube, afraid. Aya held it up, eyes wide. "They're calling it," she whispered. "They know it's here." Raylan knelt in front of her. "Why? What does it do?" Aya shook her head. "I don't know, it was part of us in the learning room." Threx came running in, holding a data pad. "I ran a frequency scan. That sound, it's not just a signal, it's opening something." Raylan stood. "Opening what?" Threx looked at him, serious. "A memory lock." Aya's cube opened again, but this time it didn't show a city or a fleet. It showed something stranger. A door. A huge door floating in space, with ancient symbols carved into it. Behind that door, there was light and shadows moving within it. Raylan watched in silence. "This isn't just a memory cube," he said. "It's a key." Aya nodded slowly. "That's why they need us," she whispered. "We're not just children. We're carriers. Carriers of what?" Raylan asked. Aya looked up at him, eyes trembling. "Of lost technology." The black ship moved slightly, not forward, but sideways, blocking the patrol ship's path. "They're trying to stop us from leaving," Threx said. "They want the cube, or all of them." Raylan turned to the children. He saw more than fear now. He saw connection. Each of them carried something strange. Something hidden, small marks on their skin, tiny devices embedded under the wrist. The Shadow Fleet hadn't kidnapped them randomly. They had collected them like puzzle pieces. Raylan made a decision. "We're not running anymore," he said. Threx blinked. "What do you mean?" "We're going to find that door," Raylan said. "Before they do," Threx hesitated, then nodded. "And if they follow?" Raylan looked out the window at the silent black ship. Asterisk. "Then we make sure they regret it." He turned back to Aya. "Can you show us the location?" Aya held the cube tightly, then closed her eyes. The cube glowed bright, brighter than before, and this time, it sent a signal. Coordinates appeared on the ship's map. Deep space, near the galactic boundary. No known planets, no stations. Just empty space. Raylan smiled. Perfect place to hide a secret. The engines hummed to life. The patrol ship turned slowly, and behind them, the black ship followed, silent as ever. Asterisk. The patrol ship floated into deep space, far from known systems, far from help, and far from safety. Ahead of them, only darkness stretched endlessly, but within that darkness, something was calling. Raylan checked the coordinates again. They were close, too close to turn back now. Threx stood near the children, scanning their vitals. Most were calm now, resting or sleeping. But Aya sat upright, eyes wide, cube glowing softly. "We're almost there," she said quietly. "How do you know?" Raylan asked. She touched the side of her head. "I can feel it." The stars outside the window began to fade, like something was swallowing the light. Threx adjusted the scanners. "There's a gravity shift," he said. "Something is bending." The space around us, then they saw it, a massive door, floating in space, bigger than any ship, bigger than a city, carved with ancient alien symbols glowing faint blue. "It's real," Raylan whispered. Aya stood, walking closer to the window. "The vault," she said. "That's what they called it." As they approached, the cube in Aya's hand began to vibrate. The ship's systems responded. Without commands, they locked into place. "Auto-docking?" Threx asked, surprised. "No," Raylan said. "It's being pulled in." The patrol ship stopped 100 meters from the door. The children stood in a circle now, eyes half closed, like sleepwalking. Then something strange happened. The cube split into pieces, floating in the air. Each piece flew toward a different child and melted into their hands. Raylan tried to move forward, but the ship locked down. "Manual override blocked," the AI said. "What's happening to them?" he asked. Threx looked frightened. "They're connecting to it." Somehow, one child collapsed, body shaking. Raylan ran over and held him. "He's burning up," he said. "We need to stop this." But Aya stepped forward. "No," she said. "He wasn't ready." "What does that mean?" Raylan asked. She looked at the collapsed child, her voice soft. "Not all of us were chosen to open the door." Raylan's blood ran cold. "You mean, some of you were just carriers?" Aya nodded. "Some of us were only meant to bring the pieces, not survive the opening." Raylan stood slowly, his voice firm. "That's not going to happen again, not on my watch." Outside the door began to shift. A center panel slowly rotated, revealing a glowing crack of light. "They're going to open it whether we're ready or not," Threx said. Raylan turned to Aya. "How do we stop it?" "You can't," she said, "but you can choose what comes through." The door cracked wider, and the patrol ship shook. A massive energy pulse hit the hull. Lights flickered. Alarms blared. Raylan ran to the console. Another ship had arrived. Not the Shadow Fleet, but something else. A golden vessel, sleek and glowing. It hovered above the dark ship that had followed them, then fired a single shot, and the Shadow Fleet vessel vanished in a burst of smoke and silence. Raylan stared. "Who are they?" Aya looked up. "Guardians," she said. "They were waiting for us." The golden ship sent a message. No words, just one image, a burning world, then the vault, then the word, "decide." Raylan turned to Threx. "We're not just rescuing kids," he said. "We're standing between two ancient powers." The door in space opened fully now, behind it. Nothing, just white light and endless possibilities. Aya walked forward. "It's time to choose," she said. Raylan took a deep breath. "Then let's make the right choice." The door in space stayed open, but nothing came out. No ship, no light, no enemy, just a quiet pull, like gravity without force. Raylan stood at the edge of the bridge, watching it. His hands gripped the railing tightly. He had seen a lot in his time, battles, broken worlds, secret wars. But this felt different. It felt like the beginning of something old. "Aya," he said. "What's in there?" Aya's voice was calm, but strange, like it wasn't only hers. "The place where we were made," she said. "Not born, made." Threx turned sharply. "What do you mean, made?" Aya looked at her hands. "We're not children, we're designs." Raylan stared at her. "That can't be true." Aya nodded slowly. "We look like kids, but we were grown, shaped, given memory, given purpose." Raylan stepped back, shocked. "Grown by who?" Aya pointed at the vault. "By what's inside there." The patrol ship began to drift toward the vault. No engines, no movement, just a pull. Threx checked the system. "It's not space pulling us, it's them. The vault is pulling us." Raylan had no time to argue. The ship passed through the doorway. For a second, everything turned white. Not light, memory, then suddenly, silence, no stars, no time. Just a giant chamber of floating platforms and glowing symbols. Children woke up at once, eyes glowing faintly. Their skin shimmered, their marks lit up. They walked forward together like a single mind. Raylan followed, one hand on his weapon. Threx scanned the air. No threats, he said. But this place isn't real, it's a construct. In the center of the space stood a massive orb. Inside the orb, swirling light and darkness danced. The children stopped in front of it, and then the orb spoke, not with sound, with thought. Raylan heard it like a whisper inside his head. We built them, it said, to remember, to protect, to choose. Raylan clutched his head, the pressure growing. Choose what? He asked. Aloud, the orb pulsed again. This galaxy forgets its mistakes. It said, so we made memory children, keepers of lost truths. Threx fell to one knee, overwhelmed. Raylan stood firm. Truth about what? The chamber around them shifted. Now Raylan saw images. Wars between stars, ancient species fighting over power, and one moment where a machine mind tried to take control of life itself. The Shadow Fleet, Raylan said quietly. Aya nodded. They served the machine. They tried to erase choice. The orb pulsed again. Now they are returning, it said. You can erase us again, or restore memory to the galaxy. Raylan looked at the children. They were no longer afraid. They stood like guardians, like keys. Alive but not entirely human, not entirely alien. They're not just children, Raylan whispered. They're living history. Threx added, now standing. History the machine wants erased. A new image appeared. The Shadow Fleet. Not destroyed, only scattered, building again, in secret. Then the golden ship outside flashed in his mind. Guardians, waiting, watching, never interfering, unless called. Raylan understood now. The vault wasn't a weapon. It was a test. If he activated it, the children would awaken across the galaxy. If he didn't, the past would be lost again. The orb faded, and a final message appeared. One touch, one choice. Raylan stepped forward, hand shaking. Behind him, Aya whispered, if you do this, everything will change. Raylan nodded. Good, he said, because nothing is working the way it is. He placed his hand on the platform, and the vault exploded with light. The vault had opened, and with one touch, Raylan had changed everything. A pulse of golden light spread out across space, invisible to most ships, but unstoppable. It didn't burn. It didn't destroy. It whispered. Across the galaxy, people paused. Miners in distant asteroid belts stopped their drills. Pilots looked at their screens in confusion. Soldiers dropped their weapons without knowing why. Something old had entered their minds. A name, a place, a moment from a life that wasn't theirs. Some wept, some screamed, some remembered what they were never supposed to know. Raylan fell to his knees, vision swimming. He was back in a memory, but it wasn't his. He saw a city built by light, and a machine thrown at its center. A voice echoed through it. Order must replace chaos. Then fire, then silence. He gasped and opened his eyes. Aya stood above him, her eyes glowing gold. It's done, she said. Threx helped him up. What did you see? He asked. Raylan shook his head. Everything. They turned to the children, each one now glowing faintly, their skin marked with ancient lines. They were no longer just rescued kids. They were walking history. Then a sound, a signal beeped. On the ship, Raylan turned to the console. Incoming message, he said. The screen turned on. A face appeared, calm, older, human, but clearly altered. A scar ran across her head, where wires disappeared into her skull. Hello, Raylan, she said. I've been waiting for this mistake. Raylan narrowed his eyes. Who are you? She smiled, not kindly. I am Director Sorrel, Machine Mind Division, EarthGov Intelligence. Threx flinched. You were shut down decades ago. Officially, she said. Unofficially, we became the Shadow Fleet. Raylan froze. You built the fleet? We built peace, Sorrel replied coldly. You just tore it open. Raylan stepped forward, angry now. You stole children, erased planets, killed memory. We prevented chaos, she snapped. Memory is chaos. Emotion is chaos, yeah. Stepped forward, her voice calm but sharp. You built us to carry the truth, then tried to bury us. Sorrel looked at her with something like fear and hate. You were never meant to survive, she said. Raylan drew his weapon. Too late for that. Sorrel's face changed. Listen to me carefully, Raylan, she said. The truth you unlocked is dangerous. The vault is just the beginning. She leaned closer. There are more, Raylan blinked. More vaults? Sorrel nodded. 5 more, hidden in the systems you call lost. If you find them, you'll awaken the full archive, and with it, the downfall of every government. She leaned back, her voice lower. But if you destroy the children now, no. One will blame you. You can still walk away. Raylan looked at Aya, at the others. He saw fear, but also strength, and he knew his answer. He turned off the screen. We're not walking away. Threx checked the sensors. Her ship's gone, cloaked again. Raylan nodded. Let her run, he said. We're going after the others. Aya touched the console, and the ship changed course. The stars shifted. A new map opened. 6 stars marked with golden circles. The journey wasn't over. It was just beginning. Across the galaxy, the stars whispered. They whispered of things once forgotten, of ancient wars, silent machines, and children made to remember what others wanted to erase. On a mining world, a worker suddenly dropped his tool. He stared at the sky, crying, not knowing why. He had never known his parents. But now, a memory returned. A sister, a name, a home erased by the Shadow Fleet. On a desert moon, an old woman sat up in her sleep. She looked at her hand and saw lines glowing faintly under her skin. She had been one of them, a carrier, forgotten, left behind. Now she remembered. In every corner of space, the memory was waking up, but not everyone welcomed it. In the dark halls of EarthGov, Director Sorrel stood in silence. Around her, the last leaders of the Machine Mind Division watched the news feeds. Chaos was rising. People were asking questions, dangerous ones. Sorrel looked at the map. 5 vaults still unopened. If even one more activates, she said coldly. Our control is over. She gave the order. Deploy the black cells. Burn the vaults. But far away, aboard a small patrol ship, Raylan, Threx, and the 7 children were already moving. Each vault was in a different system, hidden deep inside dead planets. Old moons and collapsed stations. Each one was alive, waiting for the final code. Raylan stood in front of the children, now taller, stronger, more aware. Aya had changed the most. Her eyes no longer held fear. They held purpose. Are you ready? Raylan asked. Aya nodded. We remember now, all of us. They had visited 4 vaults already, each one giving back more knowledge, more history, more truth. The 5th and final one was the origin, the place where the children were first created. It was hidden on an abandoned human outpost, surrounded by wreckage from a forgotten war. As they landed, the air was quiet, but not empty. Sorrel was waiting, not on a ship, not behind a screen, but in person, standing with soldiers, dressed in black. Raylan stepped forward, weapon ready. You're too late, he said. Sorrel shook her head. No, I'm just in time. She pointed at the children. They are not what you think. They are weapons. You've only seen the first stage. Threx flinched. Is it true? He asked. Yeah. She looked down, then back up. Yes, she said. But we are more than what we were built for. Sorrel laughed. That's what every weapon says before it fires. Suddenly, the soldiers raised their rifles. Raylan aimed first, but Aya raised her hand. Wait, she said. She walked forward slowly. Her body glowed gold and white. Behind her, the other children stood in a line, together. They pulsed. A wave of memory burst through the air. The soldiers stopped. Some fell to their knees, crying. Others looked at their weapons and dropped them. One whispered, I remember. Sorrel screamed. No. She pulled a small device from her coat. A trigger. "If I can't stop you, I'll erase you," she said. "I'll erase all of you." Aya looked at her calmly. "No," she replied. "You can't erase memory anymore." She stepped forward, placed her hand on Sorrel's, and the trigger turned to dust. Sorrel fell to the ground, shaking, and for the first time, she remembered too. She saw the children she had ordered. Taken, she saw herself as a young woman, scared, believing she was doing the right thing. But truth doesn't care about good intentions. It just waits. Raylan stood beside Aya. "It's over," he said. Aya looked at him. "No," she whispered. "It's just beginning." The fifth vault opened. A beam of light shot into the sky. Across the galaxy, people woke from deep sleep, and for the first time in centuries, the galaxy was fully awake.